Thank you so much for coming to my talk today. I'm absolutely honored to be here, to have been accepted. This is a fantastic opportunity, so just want to start out with a big thank you. As I was refreshing the material for this talk, looking back through my content, I'm realizing that I'd like to try out a new title. We're definitely still going to talk about product-tech relationships, but I do think iterative improvement towards product mindset is really a better match to what's written in the abstract and the material of the talk. So, no offense, if you'd like to choose a different track now, if this is not what you were expecting, take a minute and, no offense if you want to change it up. But for those of you that want to stay, I'd like to go ahead and get a quick survey of the room to see what job functions we have present. So, who here lives in Jira or some other project management tool throughout the week? Raise your hands. Awesome. Okay. Who here codes a lot most of the week? In an IDE? Yep, doing your thing. Nice. And last one is, who here is building slides and diagramming and things like that? Anybody in the architecture realm a little bit? Okay, awesome. So I'm doing a survey like this because, like Janet said this morning, it's not about what's on your business card. It's about what you do, the function that you perform during the week. Last question is, who here focuses on an end user of your product, or maybe it's a client, every single day, even just briefly, every single day? Nice. Yeah, that is a good showing. I see some people with hands up, hands down. If your hands are up, great, you've got nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely, please stay. There's definitely things to learn and to gain from this. But thinking about end user every day is an indicator of a strong universal product mindset within your teams. And what we'll talk about today applies to all walks of technology, people in engineering, product testers, engineers, all of those roles. But let's take a step away from product mindset briefly and talk about the Agile landscape right now. There's a bit of a separation that I've seen. There are some technology leaders who are looking forward to Agile and excited about a transformation, iterative development, rapid releases, CI/CD, all of these fundamentals that come with Agile development. And some maybe did an Agile transformation 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and are frustrated. There's been some wide sweeping organizational changes happening recently towards something different than Agile. And I don't just mean Scrum Fall, although that is happening as well. There is a push for different questions that need to be answered. Well, I don't care as much about innovation right now. I'm focused on cost reduction. We really need to just hold our ground in the economy right now. So different questions, different pain points, and that Agile is just maybe not working anymore. So why is that? Regardless of whether the organizations are new to Agile or are not so happy with it, a lot of times there are either organizational or social silos that are formed between product and engineering. So when the question arises of why isn't our Agile implementation or our Agile processes working, what's not working about them? I think that it is because of these silos between product and engineering that is causing a lack of unification around product mindset. Product mindset is the number one most important outcome or indicator of a successful Agile implementation. Anybody out there, maybe you've got some inspiration from this morning. Does anyone want to share, when I say product mindset, what does that mean to you? Or what might be another indicator of a strong product mindset? You can just shout it out if it comes to you. You can tell if it clearly solves a problem. Fantastic. I love that answer. Engineers know the why. Also a great answer. To me, product mindset is a relentless obsession with the end user combined with a strong comfort of not knowing what the next yes is going to be for a product. Not having certainty over your plan, reacting to change. Sounds a lot like this. It's probably not the first time you've seen the Agile Manifesto, so thank you for bearing with me in the last 24 hours even. But product mindset is a direct outcome of the Agile Manifesto. I was recently in a client conversation, and the technology leader said, well, Agile Manifesto is great when I brought it up, but it's good for startups. It doesn't work for enterprise. And then later in the conversation goes on to explain how high-performing his teams are. We've adopted SAFe, and they're doing great. But our software is not delivering actual value to the customers. So this disconnect of high performers and Agile, good at Agile, but not delivering value to the customers, those should be one and the same in terms of how we're assessing ourselves and looking at how productive we are. And I think that in order to reap the benefits that Agile provides, we need to start and bring product and engineering together and breaking down those social or organizational silos that form between these two groups. So let's take a look at how we can improve product mindset. First, we are going to assess team dynamics. We're going to take a look at what are we doing on a team level every single day and check how our daily habits are turning into the product and really what we're building. Then we're going to take a small area and apply a targeted strategy. And finally, we're Agile. We like to iterate. We like to do small things and iterate constantly. So observe and repeat using the same system of approach. It really does not require wide sweeping organizational changes, like taking out an Agile org, for example, to see really, really fast growth and change. So first step in assessing team dynamics is to, with optimism and positivity as much as possible, look for symptoms where your teams or yourself as an individual are not showing focus on the product, focus on the end user. Where do things feel stale, unproductive? Probably are things that come up naturally in a retro, but taking that user-focused lens to it. And then find a system to help you organize some of those symptoms to try to move towards the next step. So what we are going to do is look at symptoms together first, and then a system. Anyone want to share what they are observing right now, either within their teams or a past experience that feels like a symptom of a lack of product mindset? Could be a behavior you notice in a ceremony. Yes? Not being able to articulate value. Yes, so it could be anyone on the team being asked, why are we building this? Who is it for? And lack of ability to answer that question. That's a fantastic symptom. Any other ones? Yes? Say that again? Yes. Yes, that's big A Agile, right? Following a framework or a process just because that's what we're told to do, and not looking at, is this for the user? Is this, to refer again back to this morning, is this marching towards our vision? Is this following our strategy? These are great. Another symptom is isolated decision-making, leaving out stakeholders. We heard about that a little bit this morning. Leaving key stakeholders out of the decision-making process is a symptom that can lead to swirl and rework. It's a terrible feeling as an engineer to deliver something, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month later, it gets to the stakeholder that really has the say in it when they could have been included in refinement earlier on. Another symptom is poor engagement in planning and review sessions. I don't know how many of you out there, I've been in many a refinement session where cameras are off, everyone's muted, and you're maybe the product owner or the tech lead, whatever role. Any questions? Anyone? Anybody? And it's just absolute crickets. But that is a symptom of a lack of product mindset, not being able to, and sometimes it's on the engineering side, it's no finger to point, but it's a lack of, I don't even know what question to ask right now because they don't understand why we're building what we're building. And the final, or not the final, there's plenty of symptoms, but another common symptom that I see is a broken feedback loop. A really interesting one I experienced recently. A lot of times you might think feedback loop with the user, and of course that's important to have a strong feedback loop with the user. But it's also important with the not so user-facing engineering teams. The example I had recently was product and design slow to engage with the DevOps and SRE teams of a platform to talk through non-functional requirements. And a product was built 4 years in and was nowhere near the performance needed. They didn't think about performance needs and how this product was going to scale. And about 4 years of work is completely gone, basically. They're starting from ground zero when it comes to the performance decision-making on the technical side. So it is just as important in that side too. Oops, sorry. So these are symptoms. These are some signals where you're noticing product, and notice I'm not saying it's a product manager and the tech lead who aren't talking about. This is building the product, the user focus, the product side, and the engineering side, technical side. These are symptoms where there are silos happening between these groups. So to help us organize these signs and signals into something we can work with, there are a lot of options out there. I'm going to share this. I know this is a lot to take in. We're not gonna step through every piece of this. But I have a colleague that likes to say, vent with intent. So when you go and you start talking about the annoying things that are happening within your team dynamics, talk about it in a lens of doing something about it. So when you are discussing your team dynamics and doing that self-assessment, utilize some sort of competency model like this, or better yet, come up with one. Best yet, maybe steal this and then change all the words in it to whatever meets the environment you are in. And like I said, you might be squirming in your seats thinking about doing an assessment on your team and developer productivity. This is for the team level. I actually created this originally as a tech lead on a team, on a product team, and it was done in Google Sheets. It had 3 times as many words in there, and it was really for us to organize how we discuss becoming more product-minded in our retros and to get better. And it's now been reduced, down to what you see here to have a wider reach of audience, but again, this is homegrown, and you can take this and adapt it. And the point is, again, not for each of you to know exactly what each one of these words means, although I'm happy to go into deeper detail of this after the talk. The point is to have a shared understanding of what it means to be improving in a specific category. So you can see here on the left, product engineering process is just broken down by function, we talked about earlier, and then category, so roadmap, customer, engineering quality, testing. And as we move, I know we often say shift left. I think I want to rearrange my diagram here, but in this case, we want to move to the right. And you do a quick self-assessment with the team to see where you land. Look at the product strategy and where you want to prioritize making an improvement, and think through what is it going to take to move us from, okay, we've got defined personas for a customer, but we actually want to start doing active monitoring of our customer base. What does that look like? What do we have now? So to do that type of targeted strategy, like I said, ask your team. Do the 5 whys activity. Ask your team about, why is this symptom happening? Why is no one speaking up during refinement session? And come to a root cause understanding of that. Collaborate together to answer those questions. And sometimes they're not worth answering. So align it with the product strategy. And then make a change. So we are going to walk through 3 examples of how I've done this before on teams and sort of an outcome that has happened. And each will be at kind of before, during, and after a product launch, just to kind of take us through it. And please feel free to jump in with questions as I go through these examples at the end of each one, if you want to have any other clarity on it. These are 3 examples. So we're going to talk about how to enhance communication during product discovery, creating a shared ownership during product build, and reinvigorating innovation after a product launch. And these are all sort of the how to define a strategy to make improvements in those areas after realizing, okay, we need to strengthen our universal product mindset in these areas. So first one is enhancing communication and product discovery. So maybe we did our self-assessment with our team and we noticed that it was backlog and roadmap. We didn't score great, and where we are with our product strategy right now, we have to get better in those areas. And so what we want to do is enhance our communication. What do we do now for communication? Ask yourself that question. Then map it out. Try to map out what the discovery process looks like, and I'll have an example in the next slide of that. And finally, decide what change you're going to make. In this case, we decided, like I've mentioned, we want to make our discovery more inclusive. So what this might look like for you is, okay, we mapped out our discovery process, we get new intent comes in, and it's kind of a new team. Actually, we've got a new designer coming, so we're gonna define or redefine the roles and responsibilities on the team. And we're gonna conduct an inclusive early discovery where we bring along stakeholders and the site reliability SMEs. We gotta bring them in, talk about non-functional requirements, and really get a full picture. Not just feasibility, can we build this? Non-functional requirements, right? Then construct an Agile roadmap. In this phase, what we weren't doing before, what we were gonna start trying to do is include engineering in this. Product's not gonna go off and the product team create their roadmap with the executives and then read it out and then bring it to the engineering team and say, how can we make this happen? Engineering will spend time constructing Agile roadmap and revisiting it. Probably less time than the product team, and you gotta strike those balances between what your core function is, but they'll be included. And finally, we'll do a story mapping. The big picture, now we're gonna break that down into stories and conduct a story mapping. And in this case, what we weren't doing before, this is a modernization effort, and we were not including the people who built the original product or legacy developers. We are going to bring them into story mapping. And if you're worried about getting too off track, we're going to ask those people to provide inputs after the session. So they're going to be there, they're going to take notes, and they're going to submit their feedback and questions afterwards, and we'll have a follow-up with them to allow for every voice to be heard and still manage time. So this is just an example how you might document your discovery process, make it more inclusive, and improve those areas of roadmap and backlog from the assessment. Next example is creating a shared ownership during product build. So in this self-assessment, we maybe identified that team was one of the categories that needed a little bit of help, along with trust. And we went ahead and asked ourselves this question of, where is their tension right now? We scored low on trust because we enter into these refinement sessions and it's immediately tense. Or sprint planning. Those sessions are starting to get a little finger pointy, and we don't have the type of team collaboration that we really need. Some tension is good, of course, but there's a fight for ownership over things that we're starting to sense. So, okay, let's create shared ownership through a little bit more flexible roles and responsibility definition. In this example, there was a small team I was with and a tech lead who was also an architect, really smart, just a very smart team, and also a product manager who was experienced with conducting user research, and both were thinking, I am the tech lead, so I get to make this decision. I am the product manager, I get to make these decisions. And assigning their leadership to what was on their business card. Don't think that that is always the right approach to take. I love roles and responsibilities. This Venn diagram is an example from Laura Hogan. I'm a huge fan of hers, highly recommend her book, Resilient Management. But this Venn diagram approach to setting roles and responsibilities is a fantastic way to highlight who is a lead on different elements of the product discovery and delivery process, and where you have shared ownership. So builds and refines backlog. If that is a shared ownership, you agree to it, you write it down, and it definitely does not mean the two things outside of the center area are done in isolation, but it's rather an acknowledgement for who is leading that discussion. And so this is, a perfect example of, collaborating with individuals over, okay, my contract as the tech lead says that I get to make all these decisions. That's not how it works. So because you really assessed yourself, saw a need to improve ownership, this is our targeted strategy of just defining a little bit of flexibility into roles and responsibilities, which is going to improve our product mindset during product build. Move further to the right on that score sheet. Any questions about this one? Awesome. All right, great. Our last example here is reinvigorating innovation after product launch. Sometimes after we do a launch, it's kind of this lull period of doing a little bit of tech debt maybe, and I know as an engineer, you're kind of like waiting for product to tell you what is the next thing you're gonna do. So a way to move out of just this kind of going through the motions mentality of delivery and, okay, we launched, what can we do? Define your next set of strategies. it's with engineering, with the product, with the designer, with maybe your marketing team, all these cross-functional groups coming together after a product launch to say, okay, well, what is our next set? And again, could not agree more on the 2 to 4 rule from this morning. Keep your strategy set very small and come together and identify your target. Maybe you want to amplify reach. And a lot of times, this can be done through a little bit of a change in your process. A strategy change often means your existing processes that worked great for product build and for doing all the testing that has to be done before your launch. All of those processes are now maybe stale, because you've launched something and you're watching it in production, and it's time to change the way we're approaching this from a process perspective. One option, one thing that I have tried out is, this is also not new, this is dual track Agile. And this can really be done, I think this is also another concept that's thought of to only happen while our leadership doesn't support us doing dual track Agile. You can kind of do it in a sneaky way. If your leadership isn't on board with it, you can still take a parallel discovery and delivery approach with your teams. And it's a really great lever to pull after a product launch because there's kind of this time to do some experimentation. It's also a fantastic way to start and get some cross-pollination of ideas. So maybe you're a junior dev on your team doesn't normally get to talk to the UX designer, but you start doing a little bit of dual track Agile where you've got, and dual track Agile is where there's a discovery process happening at the same time as the delivery. Somebody's still got to be fixing bugs in production and doing that type of work. But you always want to have sharing from the parallel path of delivery and DevOps going up to the discovery path, and you want to have a strong feedback loop there. So it's an opportunity to bring different people from the engineering team into the product discovery, the design, product, marketing team into what is going on? What are you guys learning from the engineering standpoint? What is the production support team telling us? So this can be a great way to kind of change things up. So why are we doing that? Why would we just kind of make a small change? Because you did your self-assessment. You saw some areas that felt routine and lacking in innovation and new ideas and bringing those to the table. A slight tweak in our operating model can reinvigorate innovation. It can help people with giving them a space to ask questions where they wouldn't normally. Maybe they're not reviewing it as a refinement session. It's our dual track Agile collaboration jam. And so because it's framed that way, someone was going to feel more comfortable speaking up. All of these things on a very individual, small, but iterative level improves product mindset across all these teams. And it's awesome to see. So just to reiterate kind of our examples here, ask, collaborate, and change on each phase of your product mindset improvement journey. It could be during discovery, could be during product build, or it could be right after a launch. And then again, do it again. One category at a time, one step at a time, building the relationship to be more of, you're building your product and your organization and the culture to be more relationship-driven versus transactional. It goes a long way to improve product mindset. So assess team dynamics, product mindset, apply a targeted strategy, and continue on. So that when this question of why is our Agile process not working, when that comes up, it is because we've strayed away from the end user capabilities and we're not collaborating together as a team, making small changes towards a stronger product mindset. A focus on the user and on product mindset is for sure what we try to do for our clients at EPON. It's also the approach of some companies that you might know. Amazon Working Backwards methodology is a fantastic read-through. I'm going to talk briefly about what Google Cloud DevOps and Research Assessment report says. I absolutely love this report. I recommend reading it front to cover every year when they come out with it. But to highlight a couple quotes, lean product management capabilities predict software delivery performance. So you're trying to negotiate a point to your leadership in terms of why it is important to focus on improving product mindset and lean products capabilities. And lean product management, and they have a little blur. Lean product management means a focus on the end user, an iterative path towards the end solution. Predicts software delivery performance. That is the strongest correlation word that can be used when you're doing a research study like this. Not impacts, it predicts software delivery performance. We will get faster, we will get better as a team when we focus on these things. And not only just software delivery performance, focusing on the end user improves organizational performance, team performance. I love that it shows an improvement in job satisfaction. So there are really positive impacts on our happiness at work and the culture when we move to this product mindset. And finally, to kind of leave you with a little bit of a bigger idea, this year's International Women's Day theme was inclusivity. And honestly, if you are sitting here thinking that you do all this stuff and you've got a pretty good framework in place, you're driving towards product mindset, or you don't want to improve in that area, all of these strategies that I talked about today also make your workplace more inclusive. We talked a lot about giving a voice to people who maybe don't speak up as much or feel safe to speak their mind, have an opportunity to give their ideas. Building product mindset, building stronger product mindset also gives space for a diversity of ideas and opinions. So it's definitely worth checking out from that regard. Okay, and now I'll open it up for questions. Thank you all so much. Yes.
How do you know what the right question to ask is? Ask, collaborate, change.
For the Ask, Collaborate, Change. So it is, let me go back to one of those slides actually that will help.
Those seem like really good questions. I'm not sure I would have thought them.
Yes, so Ask, Collaborate, and Change is asking, so you've done a retro, that's like the best example to take, is you've conducted a retro and you want your team to ask each other, why is this symptom happening? So the question is, so the why starts at, why isn't there engagement in refinement sessions? Why do we have to constantly redo something that we deployed? Like we're getting this swirl, we're not getting an answer. Why is that? So and then you try and answer that. Okay, because engineers don't care or know about the end product. Why don't they know about the end product? Well, because they're not involved early in the discovery process, so they don't really understand all this context to be able to ask, hey, how many users are going to be clicking that button every day? So that's sort of and I think I glossed over the 5 whys technique, and that's kind of what that ask is getting at. It's understanding at a root level what's going on with that symptom of a lack of product mindset on the team. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do these changes in approaches also result in improved happiness of teams?
Yeah, the question was, did the changes in approach also result in overall happiness of the teams? Absolutely. Engagement scores can be mixed in terms of how you use them, right? That's why, I liked leveraging a shared understanding of what getting better looks like through the competency model versus engagement scores. But you can see, you've got something to work towards, and everyone is communicating, everyone is engaged and happy, and your day feels, just feels like it's going by quickly. And I love the stat from Dora. And again, this is DevOps research and assessment. They're not out here to prove that product mindset is like the way to go. This is all about DevOps. But what they can't help but continue to find is that products mindset, lean product management, is a key part of DevOps, developer operations, which I think translates pretty easily into developer productivity, developer happiness, and I love the job satisfaction improvement as well for adopting the product mindset. Any others? Yes?
So I have collaborated more in the Ask, Collaborate, Change.
Yes.
So the Ask one is super clear, it's about getting to the root level.
Yes.
But then with the Collaborate, it's about collaborating with the team about the ways to improve what is not working. And then the change more about see if it works and adapt, inspect and adapt.
Yes. Yep. Question is around the ask, collaborate, change, and a little bit more clarity on kind of what the collaborate and change pieces are. Trying to go back to my... So collaborate means who is part of product, who is part of engineering, who's helping us with process, what people need to be involved in answering those whys. And so that might change depending on the symptom that you see. And so that's why it's important to, these decisions for change can't be happening in a silo where we say, okay, well, our engineering team is going to make a decision to change the way we do refinement and not let your designer or product person know that that's the way, that this is we've come to this result all together. That's kind of the key behind the collaborate there, is that you include all the parties needed to have a voice, to get buy-in so that your change actually sticks. Great question, thanks. Right, any others? And if you would like this competency model to change however you'd like, please shoot me an email. I'm happy to give you the digital version. Right. There's no other questions. If you think of something later, please catch me. But otherwise, thank you all so much for coming.